None of those ancient writers comprehended the full nature of the one whom they prophesied. As to this salvation, Peter tells us the prophets who prophesied of the grace that will come to you made careful search and inquiry, seeking to know what person or time the spirit of Mashiach, that is, Messiah, within them was indicating as he predicted the sufferings of Christ and the glories to follow. 1 Peter's chapter 1, verses 10 and 11. The full identity and nature of the predicted king are initially presented and explained in the Gospels, of which Matthew is the first. Like a divine spotlight, they focus on Yahushua and, through one event after another, show him to be the only one who fulfills all the requirements of those prophecies. By the same token, all impostors are unmasked by their inability to fit the predictions. The whole New Testament acknowledges Yahushua as the promised great king. In its 27 books, the term Basileia, kingdom, is used 144 times, which is spiritual, because you get to 144,000, and referring to the reign of Yahushua Mashiach. Basilis, which is king, is used directly of Yahushua at least 35 times, and Basilu, to reign, is used of him some 10 times. Now, like I said, I haven't had a chance. I don't have a Bible concordance. You know, I had a problem downloading my Bible concordance to my phone with the blue letter, so I can't go into the Greek or the Hebrew. And I'm going to, hopefully, Lord willing, or Adawan Rataza, I'm going to try and download the my SOAR app, because I know that has a Bible concordance as well. But, you know, as of now, like I said, so I can't check actually a concordance and see if those words are used, but they're saying that those are the words used in Greek. It's got a subtitle, authorship. At the time Christ was born, Israel had been under Roman domination for some 60 years. One of the worst aspects of Roman oppression was the system of taxation, which was methical, relentless, and ruthless. Two basic taxes were levied: the toll tax, which was comparable to the modern income tax, and the ground tax, a property tax and land tax. Roman senators and various other high-ranking officials would buy from the central government at public auctions the right of collecting the toll taxes in a given country, province, or region at a fixed rate for a period of 5 years. Whatever was collected above that amount was kept as profit, and that's why, you know, the tax collectors was despised. That's why I really grabbed this book, because I know it's got like a lot of history in it. You know what I'm saying? So I was hoping, you know, and you know, the spirit was just on me. You know, you wouldn't imagine how long I've been coding onto this book for real. And all the shit I mean, Salakia, because I'm trying to stop cursing so much. But well, not cursing, but using profane language. And we gonna curse this fucking we gonna curse Babylon until this whore break. How about that? But not to digress, continuing, whatever was collected above that amount was kept as profit. Those who held such taxing rights were called publicana. The publicana would hire others, usually citizens of the country being taxed, to do the actual collecting. Those collectors had somewhat the same arrangement with the publicana that the publicana had with Rome. Whatever they managed to collect above the amount demanded by the publicana, they kept as their own profit. Both the publicana and the tax gatherers therefore had strong motivations to exact and collect as much tax as possible, knowing they were backed by the full authority, including the military authority of Rome. The tax gatherers, Greek Telones, quite naturally were hated by their own people, not only as executioners but as traitors. In Israel, they were ranked with the lowest of human society: sinners, prostitutes, and Gentiles. Matthew 9, 10, 11, 18, and 17. Matthew 21, 31, and 32. Mark 2, and 15 through 16. Luke 5, and 30. Matthew, who was also called Levi, or Levi, was a tax gatherer when Yahushua called him to be one of the 12 disciples. Matthew 9 and 9, Mark 2 and 14. We have little idea as to what sort of person Matthew was before Yahushua called him. It is doubtful that he was very religious, because tax gatherers were ostracized practically, if not officially. from many synagogues and sometimes even from the temple. It was no doubt partly for that reason that Matthew so quickly responded to Yahushua's invitation, and that so many other tax gatherers were attracted to him. Matthew 9 and 10, Matthew 11 and 19, Luke 15 and 1. It was rare that they were accepted and befriended by a fellow Jew, especially by a rabbi or teacher such as Yahushua. Matthew was particularly modest in writing his gospel account. He always refers to himself in the third person and nowhere speaks of himself as Salakia speaks of himself as the author. We know of his authorship because his name is attached to all early copies of the manuscript, and because the early church fathers unanimously attest him to be the book's author. Salakia. It is obvious from the text itself that Matthew wrote this gospel before the destruction of Jerusalem, and the temple in 70 AD. Apart from that general dating, it's impossible to be dogmatic as to the specific year. Subtitle: Message. The first 4 books of the New Testament report the same gospel accounts, but from 4 distinct perspectives. They give the same message with differing but perfectly harmonious emphasis. Matthew presents Yahushua as the sovereign, whereas Mark presents him in the extreme opposite role as servant. Luke presents him as the Son of Man, whereas John presents him as the Son of Yahweh by Shem Yahushua. Same Yahushua is shown to be both sovereign power and servant man. Well, I can't speak on that. I've never heard the apostles going to it. That's why it's best to, like I said, I know, some brothers tend to listen to other camps. Some brothers tend to strictly listen to the apostles. I've listened to a lot of elders that's been in the camp, because you can see the spirit in them, that fire, some laid back, some got that fiery spirit. But I can't say this. I know for a fact when you read the book of John, it is totally different from all the other gospels, because John is the one account that actually goes into him turning the water to wine, as well as talking about how he made the whip accords and whooped the animals. He whooped everybody's ass in the temple. You know what I'm saying? And that's actually a prophecy. I had a Bible that actually goes into, what prophecy that was. I know it's in the Psalms, but I've been catching affliction after affliction. Satan really don't like me. You know what I'm saying? So and that's not a good excuse. But I had precepts and all that in this particular Bible, and like I said, and I liked it because of the fact that it had precepts that matched, and it went to certain prophecies, and it was just a decent Bible. And like I said, Satan came and snatched it. Like he every once in a while when I get my knowledge up, Satan come fucking with me, want to fuck with shit. So at the end of the day, that's why it's so important to eat the scroll. So, I'm going to continue. In presenting the sovereignty of Yahushua, Matthew begins his gospel with the genealogy of the Lord, going back to Abraham, the father of the Hebrew people, through King David, Israel's model king. In presenting Yahushua's servanthood, Mark gives no genealogy at all because a servant's lineage is irrelevant. In presenting Yahushua as the Son of Man, Luke traces his genealogy back to the first man, Adam. In presenting Yahushua as the divine Son of the power, John gives no human genealogy or birth and childhood narratives. He opens his gospel by giving, as it were, Yahushua's divine genealogy. In the beginning was the Word, and the Word was with God, and the Word was God. John 1:1. And we all know that when you go into that word that's talking about Yahushua, I think you can find that in St. John. Well, I think it's 1 John. I might be, don't quote me on that because I might be wrong, but I know it's like in one of, it's either 1 John, 2 John, or 3 John. I know it's in one of the Johns. The message of the book of Matthew centers on the theme of Yahushua kingship. Just as virtually every paragraph of the Gospel of John points to something of Hamashiach's deity, so virtually every paragraph of Matthew points to something of his kingship. Salaki. Matthew presents the Messiah King who is revealed, the King who is rejected, and the King who will return. Yahushua is painted in royal colors in the gospel, as in none of the others. His ancestry is traced from the royal line of Israel. His birth is dreaded by a jealous earthly king. The Magi bring the infant Yahushua royal gifts from the east, and John the Baptist heralds the king and proclaims that his kingdom is at hand. Even the temptations in the wilderness climax with Satan offering Yahushua the kingdom of this world. Salakia, the kingdoms of this world. The Sermon on the Mount is the manifesto of the king. Miracles are his royal credentials, and many of the parables portray the mysteries of his kingdom. Yahushua identifies himself with the king's son in a parable and makes a royal entry into Jerusalem. While facing the cross, he predicts his future reign, and he claims dominion over the angels in heaven. His last words are that all authority has been given to him in both heaven and earth, which is Matthew 28:18. Yet Matthew also focuses most uniquely on the rejection of Yahushua as the king. In no other gospel are the attacks against Yahushua's character and Yahushua's claims so bitter and vile as those reported in Matthew. The shadow of rejection is never lifted from Matthew's story. Before Yahushua was born, his mother Mary was in danger of being rejected by Joseph. And that's the thing, I never completely understood that, like I know, I'm to a level, and anybody in the truth or in, GMS camp should understand that, it's not no virgin birth like the Apostle Tahar went into. That's all comes from Catholicism, and they got it from other different things, Well, basically, I think they got it from the Greeks, if I'm not mistaken. That's what Apostle Tahar said, and not only just the Greeks, because you remember the Egyptians with Horus and all that, but a lot of those like pantheons and are recycled myths basically. I mean, some bugged out shit for real. But like I said, when you go into it, you understand that Joseph and Mary actually had sex, Soon after he was born, Herod threatened his life, and his parents had to flee with him to Egypt. His herald, John the Baptist, was put in a dungeon and eventually beheaded. During his earthly ministry, Yahushua had no place to lay his head, no place to call home. In Matthew's gospel, no Pentian thief acknowledges Yahushua's lordship, and no friend or loved one is seen at the foot of the cross, only the mockers and scorners. Even the women are pictured at a distance. Matthew 27:55 and 56. And in his death, Yahushua cries out, my power, why hast thou forsaken me? Matthew 27:46. Only a Gentile centurion speaks a favorable word about the one who stood, Salakia. Word about the crucified one. Truly, this was the son of Yahweh. Matthew 27:54. When some of the soldiers who had stood guard over the tomb reported it being empty, the Jewish authorities paid them to say that Yahushua's body was stolen by his disciples. Matthew 28:11 and 15. Yet Yahushua is also shown as the king who ultimately will return to judge and to rule. All the earth one day will see the Son of Man coming on the clouds of the sky with power and great glory. Matthew 24:30. His coming will be at an hour when you do not think he will. Verse 44, and he will come in glory and judgment. Matthew 25, verse 31 to 33. No reader can fully immerse himself in the gospel without emerging with a compelling sense of both the eternal majesty of the Lord Yahushua Mashiach and the strong power that sin and Satan held over the apostate Israel that rejected Mashiach. No gospel is more instructive to those who are the Lord's disciples and who are called to represent him in the world. The lessons on discipleship are life-changing for the committed reader, which is deep and that's spiritual. Because when you realize this is for life, like I hear a few of the different camps speak on it. I mean, like I've heard multiple camps say it, though. They say this is worse than the mob. This is for life. When you really realize it, being a disciple of the Most High, being a disciple of the Most High, Yahweh by Yashem Yahushua, because, and I can attest to that myself with my testimony, man, like, what I'm saying? And, I might stumble, and, I pray for forgiveness, I try not to the best of my ability, but we all stumble because this place is so fucking wicked. But at the same time, I know I'm not going back in the world. I mean, I've seen brothers go back into the world, you know what I mean? And I've seen a brother not go back into the world, but go and gather fruit, and then, the Most High taking, So this thing is real and it's deep. Salakia, I stopped at the lessons on discipleship are life-changing for the committed reader, as they were for the 11 who were Yahushua's first followers. Thus, with all its great themes of majesty and glory, rejection and apostasy, the book of Matthew lacks no particularity. Woven through all that is the constant thread of revealed instruction for those who are its representatives among men. And I'm going to stop there.